Thank you, and good morning, and thank you for tuning in to our live webcast. Bonjour et merci à vous d'être ici et de vous joindre à nous en direct sur le web. Many of you may remember when we launched this investigation in February 2014. We had a lot of complaints about problems with Hydro One, its billing and customer service. We had more than 600 complaints. We expected naturally to get more complaints, but we didn't expect to be flooded with thousands in just a few weeks, bringing us to more than 10,700 as of today. We got complaints about outrageously high bills, about estimated bills that were off by the thousands of dollars. We heard from people who received no bills at all for months at a time, and people who received several bills all at once. We've heard from customers who felt mistreated, abused when they tried to report these problems to Hydro One. To handle all this, we had to act as a sort of call center ourselves, with teams of staff working long hours to triage them all. We resolved individual issues as they came in, and set up dedicated teams to address specific problems and work with Hydro One. Meanwhile, our special Ombudsman response team dug deep into the root of the problem. Hydro One's explanation was simple. When they installed a customer information system in May of 2013, the transition led to more glitches than they expected. But our investigation determined that the cause was much deeper than this. It was within Hydro One itself. Like a lot of huge monopolistic organizations, Hydro One lost sight of its duty to the public. It was so focused on the technical side of its new system that it failed to consider the impact it was having on customers. Comme beaucoup de vastes organismes monopolistiques, Hydro One a perdu de vue son devoir envers le public. Elle s'est concentrée sur les aspects techniques de son nouveau système et a négligé de considérer les répercussions qu'il avait sur sa clientèle. When the technical problems sparked a flurry of erroneous bills and a flood of calls from frustrated customers, Hydro One reacted in the worst possible way, with deflection and deception. It minimized the issues. It misled its overseers, including the Ontario Energy Board, the Minister of Energy, its Board of Directors. It relied on public relations spin. It put its customers last. Oh, the web we weave when we practice to deceive. It pressured its outsourced call center to keep their conversations as short as possible. Customers who had huge sums of money pulled from their bank accounts without warning or who were hit with outrageous bills were treated abominably. Many called my office in a panic, worried about being cut off from electricity, taken to a collection agency, or even bankrupted over bills they could not afford to pay and couldn't understand. In one case, Hydro One took $10,000 from the bank account of a senior from Timmins, leaving him on the hook for overdraft charges. It took months before his bill was reduced to just $800. In another, it charged a man in Ottawa $11,000 after his meter was changed and 5 years of electricity that he had already paid for was added to his bill. It took him more than a year, 40 calls to the call center, 5 complaints to the manager, and finally, our office, to get this mess sorted out. There are dozens of cases like this in my report from all over the province. I've recommended that Hydro One make serious changes to reorient its corporate persona and improve practices across the board, from call center operations to internal reporting, to making bills clearer and easier to understand, Hydro One has already told me it will accept every recommendation I've made, and I'll be watching closely to make sure it follows through. Mind you, we provided in a report a 6-month report back period, and by then Hydro may have succeeded in being exempt from the oversight of the Ombudsman's office. I'm recommending to the government that it preserve the robust, independent oversight of Hydro One that brought these issues to light in the first place. As you know, the government plans to privatize the utility and install an internal ombudsman is in the works. I think this report is ample evidence of why that is not good enough. And I'm urging the government to reconsider, to make sure all of us are not left in the dark again. Comme vous le savez, le gouvernement se prépare à privatiser cette compagnie publique et à créer un poste d'ombudsman interne. À mon avis, ce rapport prouve amplement pourquoi cette mesure ne suffirait pas. J'appelle instamment le gouvernement à reconsidérer sa décision pour garantir que nous ne serons plus tous plongés de nouveau dans le noir. This afternoon at 3:30, for those following on the web, we will be having a question period on Twitter. You can submit your questions to our Twitter account. And now I'm pleased to take questions from the media.
Audrey, well, after your March report, Hydro One threw itself, on its sword and said, geez, we're done people wrong. We're going to fix it. But it sounds to me like they didn't fix it. That they just went merrily ahead with the usual practices.
The release we had was to address a very specific issue, which was the disconnect issue, which we were able to resolve after the press conference. We tried for 20 days to resolve it before the press conference, and they wouldn't budge on that issue. I think Hydro One is going to be a project. This is not going to be turned on a dime. There's all types of issues. One of them that really concerns me is how they obstructed and lied to and evaded the Minister of Energy's office when they asked questions, the Board of Directors, and the Ontario Energy Board. And if you look at Post Bill 91, the overseer that are taking out a picture is the Ombudsman, and we're the ones who blew the whistle on this. And I could tell you, if I was Minister of Energy, I wouldn't be very happy that my office was misled. Same with the Board of Directors, same with the OEB. So when the government says, oh, we're keeping those three entities, yeah, you're getting rid of the Ombudsman. I'm the one who discovered that they were all misled. And I don't know what the consequence is when you mislead the Minister of Energy, or when you mislead the OEB, or when you mislead your Board of Directors. But I know that when you mislead the Ombudsman, obstruct the Ombudsman, as they have in this case, it is a statutory offense punishable by fine or jail. I'm supposed to be the eyes and the ears of the public through the Legislative Assembly. And we found them to be misleading, not only in our meetings, but even in the math. Hydro math is a very special kind of math. When we announced the investigation, we were told that only 1% of billings were out of whack as a result of this new system. Throughout the course of the investigation, that number varied from 1 to 6. Well, which is it? You've got a customer base of 1.3 million. When you say 1%, 6%, it's a big difference. In February 2014, we were told, and this was public, you were told as well, that there were not more than 2% of bills that were not being processed within the 90-day period, 2%. Fast forward to March 2015, Hydro One announces publicly, so this information is available publicly, that they were very proud to announce that those bills that were out of whack in the 90-day period were brought down from 5% to 0.1%. So was the original number minimized in order to appease the public and the media, or was it really 5%? Or was the 5% exaggerated in order to make it sound like they did remarkable progress? Trying to deal with hydro math is a little bit like trying to pin down a kangaroo on a trampoline. It's not a very easy thing to do. Of concern as well is the idea of removing Ombudsman oversight, which appears to be sort of a mental blockage. There's no real public policy reason for it. You know, to think that by removing the Ombudsman and privatizing it, all these problems will go away is a little bit like living in a fool's paradise. Other examples of government removing Ombudsman oversight and allowing agencies to depart on their own are Highway 407, Terrion, and Orange. And those are the last few precedents I can think of. And I tell you that today I will be courieing to privatization guru Ed Clark a copy of the report, because I'm convinced that if he reads the report, knowing the information he has today, that he might have some reservations with the original recommendations he's made. I mean, to entrust the oversight of Hydro One to a corporate internal ombudsman who is beholden to management simply won't work. Do you think that a corporate ombudsman would have released this kind of report today? I can't remember any. I know that Terrion and Highway 407 have ombudsmen. I've never seen any critical reports. Are we to assume that there's no issue? You know, these corporates, internal ombudsmen, are sometimes referred to by themselves. We're ombuddies. We're friends. Friends of complainants. We're friends of the organization. We're ombuddies. They're self-described ombuddies. And some would say they might even be better described as ombudsweenies, because they do not have the tools, the independence, the impartiality to take their organizations to task. And so I'm hoping that this provides information that was not available to the government before, not available to the Premier's Advisory Commission on Privatization. I'm hoping that this will provide some new perspective on oversight. The new billing system cost taxpayers $180 million. To fix the customer service problems cost $88.3 million, almost half the price of the initial system. It's a fiasco, it's a mess, call it what you'd like. These are $88.3 million spent to fix their own problems. Now, this is money that would have come back to the government. That's 8 times my budget to oversee all of government, over 500 different agencies, boards, commissions, and line ministry. What else can you do with $88.3 million? Well, you could hire 1,500 nurses. You could pay for 315,000 MRI-guided breast biopsies. I mean, the imagination is limitless. No, this money went to fix a problem caused by the culture at Hydro One.
S'il vous plaît, vous dites que Hydro One a trompé, le ministère de l'Énergie a trompé le public.
Et quelles sont les conséquences lorsqu'on ment à l'Ombudsman s'ils ont menti?
Le Hydro One a menti au ministre, à la Commission d'énergie et à son conseil d'administration, ainsi qu'à l'Ombudsman. Je ne sais pas quelles sont les conséquences pour une organisation de décevoir ces 4 différentes parties. Sauf que ou ces 3 différentes parties. Sauf que je suis au courant des conséquences de nuire à une enquête de l'Ombudsman. En vertu de la loi, c'est une infraction punissable par la prison, l'emprisonnement ou par une amende.
You said that you have the power under your act to do something to charge them with obstruction or whatever it might be. Are you going to do that?
No. First of all, we'd have to build a new courthouse because there were a lot of people that we'd have to charge. I think that right now we've disclosed the problems. Hydro One has expressed regret and has accepted all 65 recommendations. I think by putting the spotlight on the issue right now, it's served as a reminder, not just to Hydro One public servants, but all Ontario public servants, that we've been around for over 40 years. And we've seen all types of stratagems and ways to dupe us. We're not just falling off the turnip truck. And they have a legal obligation to be truthful, not just cooperate, but be truthful and not to obstruct our investigations. And today I'm simply reminding Hydro One not to do it again.
But you can't drop a bombshell like that and not say, come up with how many people deceived or how many attempts were there to deceive the Ombudsman office? And can you give us some more details?
Well, in the report, we document chronologically our first contact in June of 2013, where we're starting to see, hey, listen, we're seeing more cases, there are problems here, what are you guys doing? And emails exchanged after Hydro One staff had met with my staff were, hey, high five, we need to continue emphasizing confidence-boosting content during these meetings. Well, we don't want confidence-boosting content. We want facts, the truth. And so there's a whole chronology, even involving the minister's office, where the minister's chief of staff called Hydro One and said, we're seeing uptake in complaints. MPPs are bringing attention to this issue. What are we going to do about it? And Hydro One played it down. So, there's only 22,000 people affected by this. Well, there's over 100,000. And it goes on and on and on. And so it's not just one attempt. It's one of the reasons as well that, I don't think prosecuting these people would advance the cause, because it was endemic to the system. It's not one person that lied to us. It's just a whole bunch of them through contacts with us, with the minister's office. And I mean, it's kind of interesting that the Ombudsman is the one blowing the whistle on this fact that the minister's office was misled by Hydro One.
Was it a culture from the top of this deception?
From the top, and I would also say rotting from the inside out. It was just an ugly picture. If you look at the examples we give in the report, and there are many of them, starting with the Department of National Defense's garrison Petawawa getting a bill for $50 million, giving a few military officers a heart attack when they opened their bill, right down to the ski resort operator who was billed $37,000 and then complained about his bill, and then the next month he got one for $37 million. So it's a system. And then, of course, Hydro One correspondence between each other, emails, is like, well, why is everybody creating such a fuss over this? So always an attempt to minimize. So I think it's an organization that has in many ways lost touch with the public service ethos. Way back in I believe it was February 2014, we were told that there would be a customer service ethics commitment posted that very same day on the Hydro One website. And you were told that as well. We never saw it posted. So we went back in March 2015 and said, where are the 8 bullets for your customer service ethos commitment? And then a week later, a draft was provided. And so again, it's like you rush at the moment of the storm to appease the media, the Ombudsman, but dust settles, we move on. So that customer service commitment was not posted until March 2015. And it's 8 bullets. Basically, we respect the consumer. You won't charge more than what you've consumed, that kind of thing. And that took over a year to finally get posted.
If there's a bottom line here, is this system fixed now?
It's not fixed. We got, as late as Friday, we had 5 fresh new complaints about customer service. So it's not fixed, but there's a commitment commitment from the top, which I think is important. The Hydro One has accepted 65 out of 66 recommendations, so the report has a happy ending. We've asked to be kept apprised of developments, and we've asked Hydro One to report back to us in 6 months, assuming they're still around as Hydro One and I still have oversight. And things like, the recording of customer complaints. 10% of calls to the call center were being recorded. Now 100% are recorded. And that's important for auditing purposes to make sure Hydro One operators are living up to the commitments of the organization.
Est-ce que Hydro One vous a donné une garantie qu'il y aurait un suivi dans 6 mois? Parce que la compagnie pourrait être privatisée la semaine prochaine.
Hydro One nous a donné, une promesse de se rapporter à nous dans les 6 mois qui vont suivre pour nous garder au courant des progrès. Sauf que si Hydro One est privatisé et on perd compétence, je ne le sais pas, ça va être sur une base volontaire, j'imagine. Je l'espère. Yes.
Opinion on whether the OEB can take over the process of hearing public complaints about Hydro One if the government bill is passed. I mean, yes, there's an internal ombudsman, but the outside sort of role that you feel would probably be the OEB. Were you able to assess whether they're ready for that role?
The OEB is a tribunal. They're not investigators. They don't have 1-800 lines. They don't have statutory authority that we have. It's a different animal. All this happened while the OEB was there. The OEB was not informed of key developments concerning Hydro One that they were concerned about. We talk in our report about a visit they made to the call center, and we're told, everything's under control. And so the OEB can't be expected to react to something that's being kept from them. And it's because of the tools we have, the unique tools of our statute, that we were able to get to the bottom of this while they weren't. And to be fair, the OEB were not able to get to the bottom of it because they do not have the same tools. They are a tribunal. We are a legislative investigator, assembly investigator.
A few distribution companies that are privatized right now that you don't have oversight over. Is there any indication that those companies have problems on this?
Well, interestingly, with the coming into force of Bill 8, the Accountability Act, we will be overseeing those municipal utilities, which kind of seems strange, where the provincial one we won't oversee, though we were the provincial ombudsman, but we'll be overseeing the municipal ones. We don't have so far experience with them because we don't oversee them so far, but we will be, so we will have a better idea of that at that point.
So you're getting oversight of a bunch more distribution companies at the same time you're losing oversight of Hydro One?
Yes, which to me makes no sense.
Parlez-moi en français du problème. Vous dites que le problème fondamental, c'est la culture de l'entreprise.
C'est que dans une société de la couronne telle que Hydro One, on leur accorde un niveau d'indépendance assez important. Et puis parfois, ce qui arrive, c'est que cette indépendance-là, au lieu de mener à une liberté, une indépendance commerciale, est utilisée pour d'autres moyens. Et puis, la Société de la Couronne oublie que ses employés sont des fonctionnaires publics. Et puis, une des conclusions dans le cas de Hydro One, c'est que Hydro One a oublié son caractère de fonctionnaire public. Ils sont là pour servir le public et non pas pour prendre avantage du fait qu'ils ont une indépendance du gouvernement pour pouvoir ignorer leurs obligations vis-à-vis de leur clientèle. Et c'est ça le problème.
Vous donniez en anglais l'exemple du monsieur Timmins qui aurait payé, qui a été chargé des milliers de dollars en trop. Pouvez-vous nous donner en français cet exemple-là pour que les gens comprennent bien qu'est-ce qui faisait défaut là, chez Hydro One?
Écoutez, on a donné plein d'exemples. La personne à Timmins, on avait surchargé une personne de quelques milliers de dollars. Et puis, après enquête, on a déterminé que cette personne-là n'avait que 800 $ à payer pour ce mois-là. Il y a plusieurs, notre rapport dans le noir est étoffé de toutes sortes d'exemples qui démontrent non seulement que Hydro One, le nouveau système qui a été mis sur place en mai 2013, ne fonctionnait pas, mais que Hydro One n'avait pas en place un système à la clientèle pour pouvoir répondre aux plaintes. C'est pour ça qu'on voit aujourd'hui, il y avait au moins 100 000 personnes qui ont été ignorées par Hydro One lorsque le système leur a manqué. Thank you very much. I hear the bells are ringing.